Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. And what we're going to make are Spritz cookies. Now, if you're looking for a different recipe than this, because I'm going to be using solid shortening, and I know that from people writing to me, some folks, don't care for shortening, or they can't even purchase it where they live. I do have other recipe videos on my channel for this Spritz cookie. In fact, I have one for Italian Spritz cookies, which I think is really exceptional. So please check out my channel if this particular recipe you're not interested in. Okay, and we'll get started. Well, first up, what we're going to do is you can use your hand mixer instead of your stand, and I probably say this is too many times to be repeated, but I like to use my stand up because I think it's quicker and faster for the video. So let's get started. First, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our solid shortening, okay? And it is 1 cup of solid shortening. I just want to put my paddle in a different direction, so I'm just going to put that in my mixing bowl, and then I'm going to just break it up for a few seconds here. I'm going to warn you throughout when I raise my speed on my mixer that it can be loud, so you might want to turn it down or pull out your earbuds or something like that. Also, I no longer put the recipe below the video, and I'm really sorry about that, but if you're interested in this recipe, hopefully you can jot it down, and I'll go through clearly enough and slowly enough that you're going to be able to write down the recipe. All right, the next thing that we're going to beat in and cream with that 1 cup of shortening is 1 1/4 cups of granulated sugar, and I'm just going to put that 1 1/2 cups all in, and now I'm going to start to cream them together. Now, that might take you a minute or 2 minutes, depending on whether you're using a hand or a stand-up. But again, I'm kind of moving things along for the video. The next thing that we're going to beat in are 2 eggs that have been at room temperature. One of them broke, but we're going to put one at a time. Beat that and cream that till it becomes very light and fluffy, and it becomes, a pale yellow in color. So I'm going to give that just a few more seconds here. Okay. And then you can get an idea that we were talking about that pale yellow color. Okay. So you want it light and fluffy. So spend whatever time it takes to do that. You don't want to rush through it either. Okay. The next ingredient that we're going to put in is 1/4 cup of corn syrup. Now, if you don't have corn syrup, you don't like corn syrup, you can use regular pancake syrup for it. I particularly like to use the corn syrup. I think it really helps to give this cookie its texture, and so does the solid shortening. I think it gives a crispness to it, where it's crisp and yet chewy in the inside. And blend that together again, maybe 30 seconds, a minute, whatever. The next thing you're going to put in is a tablespoon of vanilla. And then I'm just going to beat that in. Now I'm going to raise my speed to warn you about the sound. beat it at that high of a speed. But again, I want to move it along. Okay. The paddle tends to miss the sides a bit and the bottom, so I like to do that. All right, let's work on the dry. We're going to start off with all-purpose flour, and we're going to need 3 cups of that. And the next thing we're going to be putting in is 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. 3/4 of a teaspoon. And then I'm just using my little whisk here just to give it a little stir. It doesn't have to be, you know, perfect or anything like that. Just a quick stir. The next thing you're going to be putting in is 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And again, we're going to just stir that in. And the last thing we're going to do is put 1/2 teaspoon of salt. All right, and then at a low speed, I'm just going to gradually add the dry to the wet, because again, I don't want flour all over my kitchen. As you go along when it's forming the dough ball, the cookie dough, I should say. And then we're going to put the rest in. And then I'm just going to stay with it till it really, the sides are clean. In other words, the cookie dough ball, you know, has all come together, and well, the bowl itself is almost clean on the inside. Okay, now let's get my paddle out of there. And we want to take off the excess, of course, because we don't want to waste product. Alright, I can always get that a little later, but we got the majority. And then I'm just going to clean up my sides of my bowl, check that bottom to make sure that it's combined. And this is the cookie dough that will come out. It's not real sticky to the touch. It's very pliable, that you can put it into your little machine, your cookie maker, okay? And sometimes I even refrigerate it if the kitchen is really warm, and I just get it chilled just a little bit after 10 or 15 minutes. Now, I have these filled up already. I'm going to rinse my hands real quick. I have these guns already filled to save time with the cookie dough. And what I like to, and the reason I have so many, I've gotten them through the years, and friends have given me them, is that then I have a different disc. You know, I'm not always changing the disc and that kind of thing, you know. So, but anyway, what you'll want to do is you want to place these cookies about 1.5 inches apart. You won't need to grease your pans. You can use parchment if you prefer. Okay, all right, that one I'm just not being patient with it, I think, so we're going to just set it aside for a moment. And we'll put them down. And the first couple of them, you know, they don't come out perfect. What's nice about it, you can just put it back in your mixing bowl, okay? But of course you get the idea. It's best though when you do this that you make them all the same sheet, on the same sheet, because you know they're going to bake up different if one's bigger or one's smaller. So I kind of did it just to, you know, just to show you, you know, and what I like about these is that, you know, for the different holidays, that kind of thing, I think that they're fun. They're really fun to use, and the dough is pretty easy to handle, as I mentioned, you know, earlier. And then what you're going to do is just decorate it however that you want to. Let me grab a spoon here, a little pointed teaspoon, and then you'll want to, you know, you can put colored sugar on some of them if that's what you prefer. Whether it's the holiday of Christmas and it's red or green, or the colored jimmies, you know, whatever that you want to put on them, you know. And then if it's not during the holidays, I generally use just the chocolate and cover them with the chocolate. So you get the idea. And then maybe use the festive ones with the green and the red for Christmas. And you're going to get about 7½ dozen out of this recipe. And you're going to bake it at 375 degrees, and it'll probably take you about 7 to 9 minutes. So start watching them. I like to start watching mine around 6 minutes or so. And if you're doing double trays, you know, keep rotating your trays in the oven, and then let them sit on the hot pan for a minute or two. Then move them to your cooling rack, okay? So I want to, again, I'm going to just rinse my hands quickly. I'm working with raw cookie dough here, and I'd like to show you what the finished product looks like. And here are some of them where I just use the colored sugar because this month is December, so Christmas is around the corner. Here's your colored jimmies or your confettis, whatever you prefer to call them. Then the little Christmas trees, and then your traditional chocolate ones I like, because if the once the Christmas ones, everybody eats those, if these linger behind a little bit past Christmas, because I like to freeze them. If they're not all consumed by friends and relatives, then I wrap them very well, and then I freeze them, and I use them within a month or two out of the freezer. And if there's any of the chocolate ones left, even better, because some people don't want to eat Christmas cookies decorated after Christmas. So I like to put a little variety, and you can have fun and work with the children on this recipe or your grandkids, and it's enjoyable to bake together with family. So if you try this recipe and you like it, we'll leave a comment, because I'd like to hear from you. I'm sorry I don't put the recipe on anymore. I'm not alone on this, but I got very tired of seeing my work taken, posted, pinned, and when people have written to me and I can't answer them, it's just so frustrating. So if you watch me on YouTube, because that's the only place I put my videos, I'm going to get your question. I'm going to get your comment, and I will work very hard to answer in a timely fashion. So I want to thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.